Welcome to Contemporary Retirement. Contemporary Retirement is a public interest program focused on the retirement community. Every program has segments on legal, financial, and health issues affecting the retirement community. Contemporary Retirement is sponsored in part by a major grant from the Family Heritage Trust Company.
Contemporary Retirement is sponsored by Family Heritage Trust Company. The Family Heritage Trust Company is an independent bank chartered trust company established by local professionals to provide fiduciary services including fee-based investment advice, trust services, retirement planning, and tax planning. The Family Heritage Trust Company is committed to client service in our communities. For more information, call the Family Heritage Trust Company at 301-631-5900.
Contemporary Retirement is sponsored in part by a grant from R. Thomas Murphy & Associates, P.C. R. Thomas Murphy & Associates is one of Franklin County's leading law firms, emphasizing estate, trust, elder law, and medical assistance planning.
Welcome to the Is It Legal feature on Contemporary Retirement. This segment focuses on various legal issues which affect the retirement community. With me today is Tom Murphy from the R. Thomas Murphy Law Firm with offices in Waynesboro, Chambersburg, and McConnellsburg. Welcome to the show, Tom.
Good morning, Mike.
You know, Tom, you and I are elder law attorneys, and we always start with what's a filter to identify an appropriate elder law attorney?
Well, anytime you're going to be claiming to be an elder law attorney, you ought to at least devote your time and effort to achieving some of the recognition. So you also want to participate in organizations which help educate you and keep you up to speed. Things like the National Academy of Elder Law Attorneys and your state elder law councils and bar association groups.
You know, in my experience, I've never met what I consider to be a high-quality elder law attorney who is not a member of the National Academy of Elder Law Attorneys.
Absolutely. It's an outstanding organization. It's national in scope, and it tries its best to keep its members up to speed with whatever cutting-edge issues are affecting seniors.
And so one of the problems, particularly in Maryland, any lawyer can say they're an elder law attorney, and the fact is that they still write the same powers of attorney and healthcare directives they wrote before they claimed they were an elder law attorney, and it really isn't addressing the fact that there are a huge number of urban myths in this practice, and unfortunately, unqualified professionals end up perpetuating these myths.
Yeah, that's a good point because, like you said, there's no regulation of what you put on your sign, but the fact remains that they're not all created the same, and if they don't go to the educational opportunities and they don't have the experience doing it at a high level, they're just creating problems or making situations worse.
Well, you know, and you and I, as we learned this practice, you know, I sort of did it on my own and then partnered with your original senior partner in this, Greg Kearse, who unfortunately has passed. But, you know, it took years and years of working in this area before we reached even a minimal level of competence. And your former partner and I sort of educated each other, and then, of course, he educated you, and my associates are educated by me, but it's not just take a course and get this stuff.
Yeah, unfortunately, the rules and regulations are spread out over a huge area, and they're not condensed to one little simple article. And so, you know, the state makes their best effort to kind of keep that information hidden if they can.
And so we oftentimes caution people that, you know, they say, you know, jack of all trades, master of none. You see virtually no high-quality elder law attorneys that are doing much besides elder law, because at the end of the day, it is such a complex area of the law that you really can't be doing other things and be at the top of the food chain.
Well, exactly. I mean, it's just overwhelming, and you know, we talk about it all the time and kid around because we're 5 miles from each other, but we're doing different things because the rules are different.
That's right. So it's a federal program, but it's state administered. So we actually have 3 firms in this region that we handle between all 3 firms, Virginia, West Virginia, Maryland, and Pennsylvania. But none of us cross state lines into the other person's cases because they're so different.
Yeah, I don't want to have to relearn everything. And it's so hard just keeping up with the day-to-day changes and nuances, and even from county to county. And so the reality is we have our hands full just making sure we're providing good quality advice for where we live.
And so the problem that we have here is that we have lawyers, CPAs, financial planners that took a course, and then they say, well, you know, I know enough to tell you what to do here. And the biggest urban myth of all that we fight is you can't make transfers within 5 years of going in a nursing home. And unfortunately, we have, you know, it's just everybody repeats it as if it's the absolute truth. It's, you know, cut in stone, came off the mount. And in fact, it's just totally wrong.
Well, I agree. I mean, 99% of the transfers we recommend occur well within that time period, and in many cases, within 30 days or 50 days of an admission, under a really tightly controlled plan.
So the urban myth, the single biggest urban myth that we fight every day, the number one obstacle to people getting competent legal advice is this perception that it is illegal to transfer assets within 5 years of going in a nursing home. That statement is absolutely false. And the irony of it is it's repeated as if it's the truth. People hear it all the time, so it must be true.
Well, exactly. And then worse yet, it leads to some pretty bad planning that gets people into a vast array of other worse predicaments than if they just held on to their money.
And so as we caution people every day, the word is penalty. It's not illegal. And people cannot differentiate between the word penalty and illegal. You know, a parking ticket is a penalty. You don't go to jail, you know. A hockey stick is used to move the puck. It's not used to hit opposing players. You don't go to jail. So the fact is you have to manage the incurrence of penalties in single-person cases. Married couple cases, we can typically make transfers to the healthy spouse with no implications whatsoever.
Exactly. And so that's an example of the nuances between even the husband and wife rules and the single people rules. And you don't want to confuse them. And if you do, you've got bigger problems.
So biggest urban myth of all, can't make transfers within 5 years of going to a nursing home.
Absolutely false.
Tom, as always, thanks for taking time to appear on the program.
You're welcome.
More from Contemporary Retirement after these messages.
Few things in life are as important as family. Leave your insurance worries to us. Write Gardner. Call or visit our website to learn how we can make insurance simple and more affordable.
Every life that meets its end leaves a heart for love to mend. Sister, brother, family, friends are left to carry on. When the loss seems more than you can bear, it's nice to know that we'll be there at Douglas A. Fiery Funeral Home. We care.
Call Ed Lowe to help put your mind at ease.
Welcome to special guest feature on Contemporary Retirement. This segment focuses on various issues which are of importance to the retirement community. My guest today is Stephen Luber, who is with Stress Free Solutions. Welcome to the show, Steve.
Thanks for having me.
So what is a stress-free solution?
Stress-Free Solutions is professional downsizing and relocation, and we specialize with the aging community. So during the tough transition into a new home after living in a home of many years could be very stressful on the aging community. So what we try to do is make that as stress-free as possible by taking care of the entire process, each facet at a time. So that way there's only one set of hands as our company touching your belongings instead of hiring multiple companies to complete this process.
All right, so now we're starting with a 3,000 square foot house that we've lived in for the last 55 years.
Right.
Now we're moving into a 1,200 square foot cottage. So we have both 50 years, 55 years of accumulation. Some of that stuff is important, some of it's not.
Right.
So how do you start with the family to help them jam 3,000 square feet into 1,200?
Right. So many members on our team are actually senior move managers that we're certified, and we understand that it's not an easy process to let go of some belongings that you've been attached to you for so many years. And so basically what we do is we help sort item by item, and we find a purpose and a place for each item. So any item that we come to agree that is not going to fit in the new home, we find
Something has to be done with
right.
it. Then. Okay.
So we go to auction, donation, and even the landfill. So anything left at all, we'll find a purpose and a place. We
probably starts with giving the kids in here and say, what is
right.
it that you want?
Come in and take anything that you want, and then we start from there.
And people are surprised how little kids take as a rule.
I think there's a big generational difference in that as far as keeping items that are passed down.
All right, so kids don't show much interest in it, so now you're going to have to figure out what to do
Right.
with it.
Right, and we want to be able to get some kind of return, some kind of profit back. You know, you don't just want to let go of your items, especially if they have.
The profit might mean giving it to a charity too, but getting
Right.
some benefit from
Right.
it.
We want to be able to bring something back, and so you don't feel like you're completely losing the item. Especially if it's some kind of sentimental value, we'd like to see that go to a loved one before we take that away.
All right, so we go through it. It's either has no value, or it's a memento that needs to be in a family member's
Right.
hand. It's no value, but it needs to be either in
Right.
a family member's hand or call it a day. Then the next pile of stuff you might have might be the stuff that has no value and really needs to go to the landfill.
Right. And we don't like to waste. We will go down the entire process. If it doesn't go to the auction, it'll go to donation. And if it doesn't go to donation, then we'll take it to the landfill. We want to make sure nothing gets wasted in the process.
All right, and so obviously it's going to be a hands-on involvement with the person
Right.
who's engaging your firm, because there is no one-size-fits-all.
Right. And every individual has their own individual needs. Not every person needs every single service that we offer. So what's good is we can tailor a solution to fit your specific needs. It's not just a plain.
Well, one of the other things you have to do is that you have to say, okay, we're moving, so you need to go to the new space. You need to measure the new space.
Floor plans.
Figure out
Right.
what's going to fit, what's not going to fit,
Right.
and try to lay it out.
Right. And we even go as far as completely setting the new home, the new apartment up. We take pictures of the curio cabinets, and we will place each piece of china, each figurine, exactly how you had it in your old home to best emulate what you had before. We want you to be comfortable and happy, and we want you to live safe. So we always look out for safety hazards, tripping hazards, and we want to set you up to be able to live in a safe and comfortable environment.
All right, so how can a person get more information on your service?
You can find us on our website at www.stressfreedownsizing.com, or you can reach us on our cell phone at 301-280-0170.
Steve, sounds like a great program. Thanks for appearing
Thank
on
you
our
very
program.
much.
Thank you. More from Contemporary Retirement after these messages.
Tranquility at Fredericktown Assisted Living and Memory Care provides a warm, home-like atmosphere that promotes daily life enrichment. At Tranquility, our medical director is a geriatric physician. Our professionals support and understand the various stages associated with Alzheimer's and dementia. We have on-site physical, occupational, and speech therapists, as well as around-the-clock licensed nurses. For more information, give Tranquility at Fredericktown a call today, because everyone deserves great care. Let us do the caregiving so you and your loved one can embrace life again.
Dad, there's the big one. There's the big one. Just wait.
There's the monster.
Just one more bid on HurleyAuctions.com.
I got it.
If you haven't visited HurleyAuctions.com, you don't know what you're missing. Whether you're buying or selling, antique cars, tractors, boats, or real estate, you can do it all at HurleyAuctions.com.
Get to know Dr. Carrie Hesley at Diagnostic Imaging Services.
What I find most rewarding is caring for women through our Women's Imaging Center. We have a caring staff that will ease patients through an ultrasound, bone densitometry, breast biopsy, or mammogram. Our health team is sensitive to emotions involved in women's imaging and understands that every woman is at risk for breast cancer. Providing the community with a center that is so dedicated to breast health and the imaging needs of women is something special.
DIS Women's Imaging Center, providing women with progressive care.
Welcome to Contemporary Health Scene. Contemporary Health Scene focuses on the health issues affecting the retirement community. With me today is Bridget Keefe, Community Relations Director, Tranquility of Fredericktown. Welcome to the show, Keefe.
Thank you.
Bridget, you know, when this is a really evolving care planning area right now, many years ago, 25 years ago, you know, the care sequence is essentially you were at home or you were in a nursing home. There was no in-between steps. Today we've seen the evolution of a lot of alternative care. We have professional in-home caregivers today. We also have adult day care. Assisted living 25 years ago was oftentimes a room in somebody's house. And if you had any sort of needs whatsoever, they couldn't sustain that, starting with the fact that they were not medically supervised. They weren't licensed. So today we know the federal government's trying to get out of the nursing home business. It can't do it by a stroke of a pen. It's doing it by dramatically expanding the service model of assisted living facilities. So let's take some of the common misconceptions. 25 years ago, if you couldn't manage your medications, you couldn't be in assisted living.
True, and now that's one of the top reasons many people actually seek out assisted living, or their family members do, is because their loved one desperately needs medication management.
Now, what does medication management mean?
It means, for us anyway, we have licensed med techs who will give a person their medications, watch them take it 24 hours a day, because medication overdose or underdose is one of the top 5 reasons elderly people end up in the hospital.
So we're not talking about a person who just comes by and doesn't know anything about the meds. These people are trained.
They are trained, and they do this 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
And under what kind of supervision are they?
They are supervised by a registered nurse or a licensed practical nurse, and a computer, and a locked med cart, too.
All right, so oftentimes there was this perception if you needed any sorts of therapy, for instance, you couldn't be in assisted living.
Right, and now the new model of assisted living provides physical, occupational, and speech therapy, and we have it in-house. We actually have a rehab company that we work with that rents space from us. And the other good thing, not everyone does this, but we bill under Medicare Part A, which, as you know with your background, is like getting therapy in your home.
All right, so traditionally you had to have it in a skilled nursing facility. If you weren't in a skilled nursing facility, you severely limited that. So while Medicare is not going to pay for assisted living, it will pay for services within the assisted living facility.
Yes, it will. In fact, all of our ancillary services that we offer, like a geriatric physician, the therapy I just mentioned, podiatry services, and geri-psych services, all of that Medicare will cover.
So traditionally, if we had a family looking at assisted living that had been exposed as recently as 5 years ago to assisted living, would not understand the scope of services that are now being delivered in an assisted living environment, with the government's intent of keeping people out of nursing homes, which they are not going to have to pay for if they can keep them out.
Correct.
All right, so how about mobility issues? In the old days, if you had any sort of significant mobility issues, you couldn't be in assisted living.
Right, and I think that's another part of the beauty of assisted living, is that we have people who still drive, but we also have people that need to be wheeled in a wheelchair down to our dining room or to activities, and that's all part of the care plan.
And the beauty of assisted living is to keep you as independent as you can possibly be. And you know, it's not a nursing home, it's a living environment.
It's a very vibrant living environment too.
So you can have your car if you're still licensed.
Yep.
You can have cocktail parties.
You can smoke cigarettes in our designated smoking area. Yeah, you can really live your life the way you're used to.
All right, how about dementia?
Well, we have found, and I know a lot of studies have shown, that the more you can help someone live independently who has dementia, the more you can hold off a memory care unit.
And stimulate them.
And stimulate them.
Not watching television.
Right, doing things, right, and socializing with others. And we have many people with dementia that live in assisted living, and when they need more care, we have a memory care unit as well.
How about incontinence? That was always, you guys couldn't do incontinence.
Right, now I would say most of our residents have incontinence issues, and that's not an issue for us at all.
And when you combine that with being half the cost of a nursing home, private rooms in many instances, private baths, you have completely independent. There's just no reason to be fearful that model is perhaps being better than what you're thinking it's going to be.
Right, and it's half the cost of 24-hour home care too.
Bridget, always thank you for taking time to appear on our program.
Thank you, Mike.
More from Contemporary Retirement after these messages.
The Community Foundation is about making a real difference in Frederick County. We can do this because of the generosity of our caring donors.
The grants and scholarships provided by the Community Foundation care for the community, enhance the community, and advance the community where we live, work, and play.
Create a real legacy that helps others, changes lives, and empowers people. We're here to help you make a real difference.
Albright, Crumbacher, Mal and Idtel are a full-service firm that provides elder care services including managing incoming bills, bill payment, depositing checks, balancing bank statements, and preparing, planning, and filing personal tax returns. Put your mind at ease and call us today.
Welcome to the Making Sense feature on contemporary retirement. This segment focuses on various financial issues affecting the retirement community. With me today is Douglas Firey from Doug Firey Funeral Home. Welcome to the show, Doug.
Thanks, Mike.
Doug, when I talk to families, I just get this, well, we don't need to do anything because, and so we're going to deal with I don't need to do anything because sorts of stuff. I don't need to do anything because I am going to be cremated.
Right, which goes back to the thing we've talked about so many times, is just because you're going to choose cremation over burial doesn't mean that you still don't have to plan and make preparations for things and just kind of walk through the process and get a little feel for it. Just the end result is still the same.
Well, it doesn't mean you may not have a memorial service. It doesn't mean that you may not want something done particularly with the ashes, whether they be buried or whether the family's going to have them, or a mausoleum, or some other thing. You have to communicate this stuff.
Absolutely. Just goes back to the basic things of cremation, and if you haven't shared that with other family members, they might not even know that's what your wishes were.
And in fact is becoming much more common today, but there's a generational issue here that people don't like cremation. You better make it clear that that's what you want.
Absolutely. Especially when, like we've talked about many times on this show, is like one child heard one thing, another child heard another thing 10 years prior to that and everything. So it just makes things a lot better if they're clear and upfront, and that means really sitting down, doing the due diligence that you need to do to get things organized, and honestly, it's better for you yourself.
Well, the next thing I hear is, well, I don't need to do anything because I'm going to go to the VA cemetery.
Right. And we see that not only with the VA cemetery, we see it with other cemeteries. People, they might buy a lot, take care of grave openings and things like that, and then they tell their kids, hey, everything's taken care of. You don't have to worry about a thing. But in all reality, very little's taken care of when it comes to that. So there's still a lot of planning that needs to go. We encourage people all the time, even if you don't want to plan or you say, I don't need to plan, come in and talk to us. We'll just explain this, what's going on, and then you'll realize probably then that there's a lot of planning yet to do.
Well, you need to, and it's not a question of selling. It's making certain that people understand everything that needs to be done. And many times you realize that, just having a place to be buried isn't the entire story.
Absolutely. We've talked how much they're shocked by the information that we need to be able to file a death certificate, information for the newspaper, Social Security, and all those sort of things. And when push comes to shove, a lot of times people are scrambling a little bit to gather all that information that they thought was pretty easy to get.
And what they also don't realize is that most of the funeral directors automatically take care of a bunch of ministerial things for them that they don't even realize. That contacting the Social Security Administration deals with the fact that their check needs to get stopped. Also, that benefit they may or may not be entitled to. But there's a whole group of things that people are not seeing, and it doesn't happen automatically.
No, that's exactly right. And if we can get all this stuff, you're taking that load not only off yourself by knowing that it's done, but also whether it's your children or your spouse or whatever, all that's taken care of, and that load is gone. So really at the time after someone's made pre-arrangements, it's really just a matter of just kind of reviewing the information and maybe making a decision on date and time for the services.
So we have a World War II vet. He says, I want to be buried in Arlington. Does that just happen automatically?
Yeah. No, it doesn't. For Arlington, for example, sometimes we can be as much as 4 or 5 weeks out. We can be as much as 2 to 3 months out before the burial can take place. So that can be a shocker for people. But again, that allows us an opportunity to share this information with people so they're better informed.
So what happens to their remains during that 4 months?
Well, a lot of people wonder, what do they do with them? And what we do is we keep them, in a very dignified area there at the funeral home until the time comes when their burial is going to take place. And a lot of people say, well, my gracious, that would really be expensive, but it's not. I mean, there's no charge for just holding them. It's not their fault or anybody's fault that they can't bury them to then. Arlington's at burying 30 people a day.
Right.
So it's pretty busy down there.
And then if you want honors, you have to take some steps to get those honors. It doesn't happen automatically.
No, it does not. And those if we have that information ahead of time, that DD 214, date of entry, date of discharge, serial number, and things like that. That gives us a jump on things so we can organize and get the honor guard ready to go for the service, because we're only looking most of the time 3 to 4 days, and so they need some advance notice too.
And you better find that DD 214, because people don't realize there's a big fire in St. Louis in the 80s, and most people cannot get another copy of it. So if you have it, it's an important part of your life, whether it's trying to get assisted living benefits or whether it's honors or being buried at Arlington. You better put that thing in a safe place,
Right.
which means a safe deposit box.
That's exactly right. And you know, it's funny is people say, I know it's in the house, I just don't know where. And when you need it, you need it. And you know, you don't have 2-3 weeks to look for it.
And one of the things we keep telling people is they're so afraid of fees, but you know, you're glad to sit down and talk with somebody, explain what those options are. And even if you do a pre-plan, you don't have to prepay it.
Right. You know, a lot of people think that the only way they can do that is to come in and pray. And I think that keeps a lot of people from walking through the door and getting some things done. And you don't have to do that. You know, you can come in and make all your arrangements, make decisions on merchandise and things like that. We can make record of that, how to file for you, and not pay for it at all. And you're probably 95% done as far as the workload goes. But if you choose to want to do that, you know, we can do that too. And I do like to sit down with people and explain, because everybody's case is different, every scenario is different, and we can kind of work through and throw you a lot of different options that are out there.
Doug, as always, thanks for taking time to appear on our program.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you from Contemporary Retirement.
Remember a more carefree time? Leave your insurance worries to us, Wright Gardner. Call or visit our website to learn how we can make insurance simple and more affordable.
These days, it seems like everything's online, and filling out claim forms and receiving and paying bills online isn't always easiest. That's why we at Quality First Insurance encourage you to just give us a call. Let us help.
Hi there, I'm Paul Sweeney with Quality First Insurance, and it's still just this simple. Our offices are open every weekday where you'll be able to call and speak to real, live people.
No detail was missed. I'm so glad that I turned to Quality First Insurance.
I've recommended Quality First Insurance to my friends who've been just as satisfied.
If you're not happy with what you're paying for Medigap, or more importantly, not happy with your service, give us a try. We're locally owned, and we take the time to provide you with the best. We are Quality First Insurance, and our mission is to provide quality products to quality people. Pick up the phone and give us a call today at 800-745-1411.